All right, Julie Jones, welcome, welcome, welcome. Julie, everybody is, by the way, hello again. I know we just saw each other, but I'm back again with another fantastic interview. Excited to have you here, Julie. This is going to be a very practical conversation, I think, very inspiring and practical is what I'm sensing. But everybody, Julie is a coach, a business strategist. She helps people who are in the service-based industry um, work with expanding their business, sales, etc. So Julie, please elaborate on that for me a little bit.
Yeah. So, I work really as a sales coach and as a sales strategist for anybody who runs a service-based business. So, a lot of these are coaches, chiropractors, photographers, even some business to business sort of providers like website designers but I will say a lot of my clients tend to be coaches or people more in the healing space. I have a background in working in the holistic health world. I worked in the chiropractic industry for about a decade. And so a lot of my clients have come from, more hands-on sort of healing work with people. But yeah, now we're kind of all over the map in terms of, different services that people provide.
Awesome. I'm excited to dive into this a little bit. This is what can you kind of tell me what makes what you do and your approach unique?
Yeah. So, I'll say I was raised a little bit unconventionally. I was just telling Sandra, my mom is a life coach, and my parents were kind of hippies, and so I was raised a little bit outside of the norm. And when I graduated from high school, I went to a really small Buddhist college in Boulder, Colorado, called Naropa University. And so, like, my path has been unconventional, to say the least. And when I came out of college, I was like, I really want to help people. I got my degree in peace studies. And so I was a trained mediator and thinking, I kind of wanted to go into like conflict resolution or something in that realm. But I was having a lot of health issues at the time. And so I ended up exploring, acupuncture and some more like more holistic kind of energy type healing sort of things to work on myself. And in that process, I was like, actually, I'm really interested in this. And so I thought, I want to be a provider. I thought I wanted to be an acupuncturist. And I, on some whim of logic, decided I should probably work in the holistic health industry before like investing a ton of my time and energy and money into a whole new degree. And so I ended up just like going and applying for jobs. I got hired as a chiropractic assistant, and I'd never worked in chiropractic before. And I was like just so excited to be a part of people's health journeys. And what I realized really quickly into that position was that I was actually in a sales position. And as somebody who had been like, I just want to help people, I was terrified. And I was like kind of horrified that I was going to have to like be selling these, $4,000 chiropractic packages to people. And I had all of these really unhelpful beliefs around sales. And so I ended up working with a sales coach, and I had this conversation with him like the very first time we met. He was like, Julie, you need to forget everything you know about sales. All sales is just helping somebody solve a problem that they want to solve. And I was like, oh, okay. I really like solving problems. I really like helping people, like I can do this. And the more I learned from him, the more I worked with him, and the more I learned about kind of sales psychology, I'm absolutely fascinated by people and like, their motivations, all of that. So as I started to learn about that, I started to see like, wow, there actually is such a need for this. There's actually so many people out there doing amazing things with like brilliant techniques and tools, but they like can't actually impact people because they don't know how to speak their customers' language, or they don't know how to present it so that it's appealing. And so I really got fascinated with the sales process, and that's where I kind of ended up like that being my healing modality, I guess, is to like help people who just really don't know how to acquire new clients and actually get their work out into the world. So that was kind of a long answer to the question you asked.
No, that was fantastic though. I'm right there with you and just jiving with what you're saying. And we're gonna have to have a whole separate conversation about our life experiences, because even the chiropractic office experience I've had as well. So you and I are gonna
Oh my
have to
gosh.
compare notes. So tell me, that was actually a little nugget that you shared for people who are struggling with even the idea of sales. Can you just repeat that again about what sales really is?
Yeah, I say all sales is helping somebody solve a problem. Or I guess this is what my sales coach told me. It's just helping somebody solve a problem that they want to solve. And I really see sales in that way too, but also in that it's just a conversation. And it's just a conversation of helping somebody make a decision. And I think so many people, and especially those of us who are in this more in the healing space or more kind of soulful entrepreneurs, let's be honest, it's like, we're like, I don't want to be convincing somebody of something. I don't want to be persuading them. Like, that feels really gross. And so they have this aversion to even going there, but in the aversion of having it, they end up doing it more. And I think a lot of people don't even realize that they're doing it, but they know it doesn't feel good. So then they kind of avoid having sales conversations altogether. And so what I like to work with my clients on is just helping them understand that it's not our job to convince anyone of anything. It's our job. And, I'll say this in this group, to be, minding our energy and be in alignment with what we do in our messaging so that we can line up with the right people. And then once they come, we're really just there to help them get the information that they need to make a decision, either yes or no. And so I think of sales as really an extension of kind of coaching, like you're coaching somebody through a decision-making process. Um, and we have to practice being really unattached to whether they say yes or no. That's some of the hard part for people. Especially when you're starting out in your business and you're like, I need clients, I need to make money. Like I'm trying to get going. But there's a lot there in terms of some of the mindset stuff that puts a lot of resistance into the sales process.
Yes. Yes. I'm like, I need like a bell, like, just to echo my resonance with what you're sharing. So what is part of how you help people?
Yeah, so I work with people in two ways, really. I have a program called Quantum Sales Accelerator, and it is both a course and a group coaching program. And basically, I work with people over the course of 6 months to really develop, I call them the core four. So they're sales skills, sales systems, sales strategy, and sales mindset. Because really, you can have great sales skills with no strategy and not acquire new clients. You can have great strategy, great systems, but then like have a terrible mindset and not be able to get the results that you need. So really all of these four things together are, in my opinion, what's necessary to have like just a really well functioning business. And have, when you have a sales system that works, you don't actually have to be so good at selling. Like you don't have to, like I said earlier, you don't have to be persuasive, or I think a lot of people think to be good at sales, you need to be really good at talking and extroverted and outgoing. And like, you actually don't, especially if you have a really good sales system, because when you understand why people actually make a buying decision, you understand that they make a buying decision because they see value in what you do. So when you have a really good sales system, it communicates all of that value so that you don't have to. So it kind of takes the heavy lifting off of the sales conversations. So I really teach people in Quantum Sales Accelerator how to build all of that and like how to get all of the kind of missing pieces put together. And then we also work on mindset and skills and like actually how to lead somebody through a sales conversation, things like that. And that's a lot of fun because I have people in different industries within the program. So there's a lot of kind of like collaboration that happens there, and also some, like I have a coach in there who might get an idea from something a chiropractor is doing or vice versa, and they can kind of be a little bit more innovative, because what I see a lot in kind of mastermind groups, it's a lot of the same profession in with each other. And so they kind of lose creativity. So we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of creativity in there. And then I also work with people one-on-one, people who are like, I want to get this problem solved now and quickly, and like, really get to the core of all of the kind of maybe the issues they're having within their sales system or their strategy or some of their mindset, skill sets, stuff like that. So yeah,
Awesome.
those are kind of the two avenues that I end up working with people.
Awesome. So you gave us a really valuable tip. Do you have something else that you might share with people that can help them right now start to, maybe it's a mindset thing, or maybe it's something practical that they can do?
Yeah, since this is a group of people who probably have a lot of the mindset and inner tools, I'll give you something practical.
Okay.
So I will say the biggest mistake that I see a lot of coaches and a lot of healers make is that they are trying to help everyone.
Hmm.
And I always tell my students, if you're trying to help everyone, you end up helping no one, because you're too vague and you're too open and nobody really has any idea what you're talking about. Especially like coaches or people who are, who have an expertise, we end up speaking like really high level language, and it just goes right over people's heads. So I would say my biggest tip for most service providers is to, and I know we hear it all the time, is to pick a niche,
Mm.
but really to pick a very specific person that you're talking to that you really want to work with. And you want to pick a, ideal client who has purchasing power. Like, you don't want to pick somebody who doesn't have money. Like that makes it really hard to sell to those people. I'll give an example. My mom is a relationship coach,
Mm.
and for the first few years of she kind of shifted her practice to being like really specifically relationship focused, and even working with women coming out of divorce or moving through a divorce process. She really struggled to convert people from being kind of leads to being her clients, because these women were often trying to initiate a divorce without their partner knowing, or they'd been stay-at-home moms, and so all of the income was coming from their partner, and so it ended up being like there was a huge need for it, but there wasn't a lot of purchasing power there. And so she kind of had to shift away from that niche, because it just was really hard to sell to those people. So I think when you're thinking about who you want to work with, you want to think about A, like, do I enjoy working with these people? But then B, like, do they actually have purchasing power? Is it a growing market? You also want to think about, like, is this an easy market to target? To be able to scale your business, whether it's a coaching practice or, in-person service, you need to be able to like advertise and probably eventually run Facebook ads. And so it's like, if you can't easily target that demographic, it's going to be really hard. And it just makes it easier if you're like, oh, all of these people are hanging out in a Facebook group together. All of these people listen to the same podcasts. It just is, logically, it makes selling a lot easier. And why you want to get really clear on who this person is that you're speaking to, because when you don't know who you're talking to, you end up just talking about what you do. And people don't buy what you do. They don't care at all. And I saw this so much in the chiropractic industry. People would be selling chiropractic adjustments, and it's like, people don't buy a chiropractic adjustment. They don't want to come to your office 3 times a week. They want to buy the health. They want to buy the outcome. They want to buy the results, right? And so I think we really want to understand that that's what actually motivates somebody to make a buying decision with you. But if you don't know who you're talking to, you don't know what results they're looking for.
Yeah.
And so it just makes it very hard, near impossible, in my opinion, to build a sales system and to have clear messaging and to communicate value to people if you don't know who they are, and you don't know what their problems are, and you don't know what results you give them. And so that's really where I have everyone start, is like, we have to start and I think it's a really, like, it makes sense logically. It's not that crazy of a concept. You've probably heard it a million times, but people have so much resistance to actually doing it because they think, oh, if I just pick this really small group of people, then I'm missing out on everyone else. But it actually works against you. And so as soon as my students tend to like pick their niche and really start talking and really start understanding how to write copy and how to have clear communication, they're like, oh my God, these people are finding me and I don't even know how it's happening. It's like, yeah, because it's aligned and you're speaking directly to them. You're like calling them to you, right?
Yeah.
So that is my tip always, just if you're just starting out in looking at, improving your sales process.
And I think that it is such an amazing, important tip. And I think the point that also I get from it is that sometimes it's like, okay, you can move beyond the resistance of the idea of that, but then it goes into, okay, how do I do that? And so I would imagine
Yes,
that's part of what you help people with is actually, okay, let me guide you through this. Because I know I've had and continue to have those various challenges of it's like you don't want to cut anyone off, right? You want to be able to help whoever is drawn to be helped by you. But that's the thing I've been told and I've started to embrace more and more is really identifying, okay, where do I need to focus? And then those people, if they're meant to find me, they'll find me, those other ones.
totally.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So you help guide people in that and really helping them implement what you're saying. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's hard to do this stuff without a framework, which is why I created the course.
Yeah.
Like it's so much easier if you're like, okay, here's a worksheet that I fill out, and these are the questions that I need to ask, and this is exactly how I do it. And I have created a lot of framework for people because I do think it is very hard to do it, and that's where the kind of accountability comes in, is like having somebody be like, hey, you come on a coaching call and you're like, I'm not getting new clients. I'm like, hey, have you done this, this, and this? And they're like, no. It's like, go do that, that, and that. And then let's have this conversation again. So I tend to be pretty straightforward with people. I'm not, I always say, like, we don't do a lot of sugar coaching, we're not going to sugarcoat things. But there are, especially working with coaches or people in the healing industry, we tend to want to just stay in the mindset stuff because it's fun. And we tend to like avoid doing the practical things and actually put pen to paper. And so when you have a coach that understands that, I can kind of like kick you in the butt a little bit and be like, go put your pen to paper and let's stop talking about why you're blocked energetically. Um, because I see a lot of people tend to hang out there and they're like, well, I just want to get to the core of why. And it's like, yeah, but also you're just not doing it. So that's why.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really, yeah. I mean, you do have with your background and your upbringing to be able to help people even in this niche I can see why that's so valuable.
Yeah. I don't know if you are familiar with like numerology at all, but I'm an 8 life purpose. And so it's like bridging the heaven and the earth, right? It's like the spiritual with the practical. Like that's really my approach in everything, and you can't have one without the other, really.
Yeah.
It's a big missing piece if you have one or the other missing.
Yeah. My mom was the resident astrologist and numerologist in my house. So I definitely got fed.
All the
I
things.
fed enough. Although I never really, I was like, yeah, yeah, mom, yeah, yeah, mom. So I kind of had the little drippings, and then got into it more as I was an adult. All right, Julie, I've got one final question for you that I love to ask people because we're an empowered soul network. So we're going to dive now into a little bit of the mindset thing. What to you is an empowered soul? Like, what does that mean to you, and how would you express that to people?
Wow, good question. I think an empowered soul, when I think about that makes me think about authenticity. It makes me think about being able to show up truly as you are and be fully in your gifts, and maybe fully aware of what those gifts are, and I think of this because I work with people a lot in trying to figure out, what their sales strategy is, because you can plug into somebody else's all day long. It doesn't necessarily work. It doesn't necessarily empower you. So I think of, an empowered soul is really, you're here to do what you came here to do. And you've cleared out a lot of the resistance that's getting in the way of you actually doing that. And I think a lot of that is facing things that are uncomfortable, and things that you maybe have resistance to, or your ego has resistance to. I see that a lot in the sales process with people, even, people being like, well, I don't want to come across as this or that. And I'm like, that's your ego talking, really. It's a protective mechanism. And so I see it, that getting in people's way a lot of the time. So I think of like an empowered soul is like, you're just here to do what you're here to do, and you're willing to do whatever it takes to be able to do that, whether it's uncomfortable or not. But also, I don't know, I feel like life is meant to be enjoyed and life is meant to be fun. And so my soul, I guess, is like, we should enjoy the ride, right? Like, and when we're empowered, we're able to say what we want and do what we want, and not let all of this like conditioning and things get in the way of us showing up and serving from our gifts. I don't know if that's a
I love
coherent
that.
answer.
Oh, I think it's beautiful. I mean, the nice thing about answers that continue on is you get to take what you resonate with. It's like, oh, that nugget. Oh yeah, that nugget. So no, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's I feel like that is what you described before, of that's that nice balance between the two worlds, I would say, living in both worlds at once, right? Because we are here, so let's make it practical, and why not make it fun, right? I love that.
Yeah.
How, Julie, how can people, we will drop links, and I'll have you drop links in the comments of the interview and stuff, but how can people connect with you so we have that kind of on our recording as well?
Yeah. So on Instagram, I'm at @JulieJones_coach. Facebook, you can find me at Julie Jones Coach as well. And I have a free sales training for service-based business owners that I can plug in here. It's called Drop the Sales Struggle. That's a really great place to start if you want to just learn a little bit more about, my process, and get some really great sales nuggets. And I can also link in Quantum Sales Accelerator. It is actually on sale through the end of the weekend. So if that's something you're interested in exploring, you can click over there. Feel free to send me a message. I'm happy to connect with you.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, this has been fantastic. I feel like I got something out of it for sure. I know I'm going to be, like I said to you before, I'm going to go back and write all my notes, or take the transcript and pull out what I need from it as well. But this has been great, and love your energy, Julie. It's just you're very uplifting to be around. So I think that speaks to what you do with people as well.
Thank you so much. It's been great to chat with you.
All right, everybody, Empowered Soul Network, you've been listening to Julie Jones talk about business and sales strategy and mindset and all the other glorious things. Have a great one, everyone.